Good morning. This was another wee educational letter rant. This time I sent it to Nigel Dodds. I don't know whether he paid any attention to it or not. I suspect he filed it in the file marked B1N. But anyway, it's to do with expulsions from grammar schools and the way that these disruptive, challenging pupils were forced and dumped into the local secondaries, and the local secondaries were given no help in dealing with these pupils, and you're just left to get on with it. So here's my letter. 6th of March 2008. Dear Mr. Dodds, school expulsions. Where should expelled pupils go? I write this letter to make you aware of what is current Department of Education policy, and with the earnest hope that you might be able to do something about it. Department of Education's absurd and potentially dangerous policy over decades has been to force schools with places to accept pupils who have been expelled from other schools. Many of these expelled pupils have a long history of indiscipline, violence or drug abuse. Unbelievably, the receiving school is offered no extra resources or provision to cope with the behavioural, emotional or educational problems that the expelled pupil might bring with them. The department simply leaves the receiving school to get on with it. Reason in hindsight would point out that this approach is similar to placing the fox amongst the chickens, not good educational practice. Being inclusive is one thing, but most people would agree that pupils once expelled from one school are not suitable candidates for a normal mainstream school. Neither should such expelled pupils be rewarded by being allowed to turn down special school provision when offered, and in reality choose their own receiving school. Again, any school should have the right to deny entry to a pupil who poses a real risk to those already attending. Such a pupil should be taught in specialist schools by teachers who have time and who are trained to deal with extremely poor levels of behaviour. Schools should provide as safe an environment as possible for pupils to learn and teachers to teach. As long as this practice continues, our children are not safe. This pass-the-parcel approach to dealing with problem pupils benefits no one. The Department of Education has a duty of care to drop this policy. Yours faithfully, T.J. McLean, Board of Governors Parent Rep, and that's whenever I was a Parent Rep all those years ago. And to the best of my knowledge, the Department of Education have just carried on as before. Nothing has changed, and this practice continues. Now you just imagine a soldier in the armed forces, say in the army, who's been dishonourably discharged from that branch of the services, and the Navy and the RAF are expected to take him on. I mean, it just wouldn't happen. But it happens in our schools, and it's ridiculous. And it's an added burden on struggling secondary schools whenever you get 3 or 4 really disruptive, badly behaved, expelled pupils from other schools into a year group. And it is as many as that per year.